Hi, Dav here, and today we have a new episode in the art session series, and today we're going to be continuing the previous page we did. And I think for this video we have like two sketches to do left, and we're doing it in the right hand side of the page. So as you can see, we have like three gesture drawings, sort of, or failed drawings technically, in the right hand or left hand side, and then we have two characters already done. The one at the bottom is Makima from the Chainsaw Man sort of show or series. And then the one at the top, if you haven't heard of this guy, it's from All Out. It's the rugby anime, which I do recommend. It's the character Iwashimizu Sumiyaki. One of my favorite characters, but I think my main favorite character of that show would have to be Oharano Etsugo, and maybe one day I'll do like a fan art or a study of that character, but because I think I saw like a page of him, of this Oharano guy, on an Instagram reel or something. Like I saw like clips of the anime, but also like pages from the manga, and I just like the way he was drawn. It's so like hot, kind of femmy, kind of femboyish, but it's cool. And I think the writer or the artist is, I forgot her name. I think it's a she, but it has a little bit of BL boy love vibes, but it's a very good sports anime. Lots of struggles that the characters go through, lots of growth that you can see, and they're all somewhat attractive, you know. Anyway. Going back, the character I'm drawing at the top, at the furthest top furthest right, it's actually a sketch or an artwork by Wan Young Yun, one of my favorite artists. Well, not favorite because I have so many favorites, so it kind of loses the meaning, but they're a very influential artist in my sort of book. Yeah, I did just reference their work. Although I did change the horns a bit because sometimes when they do their sketches, it's a bit like vague. Like it's a sketch. It's not meant to be fully like done. But I did just made it look like horns. But I'm not sure if she's just wearing like a bunny ears or if they're actual ears. But I just made them like horns in this case. And I think it's good. It's good to study artists who you like, just because you can acquire like their techniques by just drawing them. I've heard people say tracing is useful, and I do think it is to an extent, but I think in the beginning maybe just to get the feel of someone's work, sure, but I think it's gonna be even more useful to draw what you see, just because it's more, I feel like you have to think a little more and be more active when you have the reference like beside you, and then you draw apart or away from that reference. Because when you're doing tracing, it's like literally on top of the reference. So I don't know. I think it's not necessarily a lazy way, but it creates like a passive sort of feeling, I guess. That's my take. I still think if you want to try it, do it, but I do recommend just having the reference on the side instead and allow yourself to break it down yourself. Because I think it just gives you a certain tactile, is that a word? Feeling. I don't know, it just feels more active that way, and I feel like you can learn a lot more when you do this method. My coffee's getting kind of cold, but whatever. In this case, I was running out of space, so I had to find like a reference to, draw that I could fit in that space at the lower right. And I have no idea who this, it's also a referenced piece, but it's from an artist that I don't know, because they don't have a tag for their, like there's no name, there's no signature or anything like that. But it's essentially a character. I'm studying the face of this character from, or it's a fan art piece of a character from Summertime Rendering, I believe, the one with the big hammer. Like she kills these shadow beings by attacking them with a hammer or beating them with a big sledgehammer. I think it's a sledgehammer. Like the way to find out if someone is like a fake is to look at their shadows, or you try to hit their shadows or kill their shadows by either shooting it, hitting it with a big hammer like she does, and that's how you find out that person is not like real. And she has like the big there's like a meme of her like boobs or something. It's basically there's a very popular YouTube video of, or a YouTube clip of one of those episodes, or it's from an episode of that show, and basically has big, yes. So I did skip the body. Obviously, there's no more space, but I think I did a good job capturing the head, even though the likeness may not be there, because it's all because the art that I was studying is already stylized to the artist. Like you can only really get who that person is if you see like the glasses, her uniform, and her sledgehammer. And I think these types of things can give you some context to who the character is. But because I did remove the glasses or decided to just stick it away and not add it, you can't see her uniform. You can't see her sledgehammer. It's hard to kind of make that connection. So, yeah. I still like it though. Of all these sketches, I think my favorite one would have to be the bottom right. Bottom right. Basically this summertime rendering chick. And in this case, her hair looks kind of short because I think in the reference photo she has long hair, and even in the anime she does have longer hair. So I guess it just ended up being in this like sketch. It ended up her hair ended up being short. Jesus. But it did like I did like the way, because I believe I did shade it a bit. And because I did plan on not shading just because I knew I had to paint over it eventually with some acrylic markers. But I don't know, just by feeling alone, by intuition, I just felt like adding some hatch lines, shading it a bit with some ballpoint pen. And in the end, actually, I decided to not paint that and other sketches with the markers. I only decided to paint like maybe half of the drawings I did. And I think that's a good thing. Even though this was meant to be part of the product reviews, it's still a sketch session or art session for me. So it just felt wrong to paint over everything or render everything with the markers. Although I knew I still had to use them eventually to kind of demonstrate how they work and stuff like that. But I just like the way some of these ballpoint drawings turned out. And it didn't feel right to render them with some acrylic markers. And I think for this page, I did the top right. Like of these 4 portraits, I did the top right. The reference work of Wan Young Yun, and the bottom left, which is like a fan art reference of Makima. What? It's basically Makima fan art, and the top right is like Wan Young Yun art. That was my reference. I decided to color those instead, and I think that's a good thing. If your sketch is kind of lacking and it feels and you feel like it needs a boost, then maybe use a different medium to sort of pump it up even more. But if it stands pretty well on its own, let's say in pencil, in ink, in this case in ballpoint pen, then you don't have to touch it. I think if it's good the way it is, then just leave it as it is. And yeah, I've been looking at quite a bit of ballpoint drawing sketches on YouTube, and I like seeing the way it's like it made me fall in love again with ballpoint pen, seeing those videos. And before I even saw or searched out these videos, Um, it was this session, and I'm actually very glad that um, Artex has been sending me these products, just because it forces me to draw like on paper. Because if no one sends me these products, I think I'm less likely to draw on paper. But thankfully, they've sent me enough times, or sent products to me enough times, that it has given me the opportunity to draw a couple more times on paper. And I think I'm convinced as to how cool drawing on paper is. I'm still gonna be doing digital art because that's kind of my thing too, but because it's kind of part of my story. I used to do a lot of these ballpoint drawings, especially during my college years in university. I never really liked like ink or fine liner pens because they were just too bold, too strong. Ballpoint pen just gave me that number one, accessibility. It's usually way cheaper, but also it's just way more. I can achieve way more variety. And I remember I used to do a lot of like figure drawing studies with these ballpoint pens. Lots of like a suggestive work. I remember back in the day in my college years, I was drawing like a female physique. And I was just drawing like, because I like figure drawing, so I just randomly doodle like bodies of women, the kinds of bodies you would see in like Greek sculptures and stuff like that. I just really liked doing those types of doodles, without the head and everything, with no arms, no legs, just the torso. But I remember one of my classmates at the time, I think Shar, she just looked at the, like, she was so nonchalant about it. Like, she just mentioned how the tits were too far apart, and next time to just bring them closer. And she just passed by. I remember just sketching on my sketchbook or notebook. She just passed by, looked at my page, and just pointed out, "Oh, just make the tits closer," and yeah. And then she left. So shout out to Shar. But I don't know. I just remembered that experience back in university, and I do like that energy because I did study our architecture school in UST, University of Santo Tomas in Manila, the Philippines. And I just liked it. That college, that architecture school, is right beside another college. It's the College of Fine Arts and Design, or CFAD. And we're all in this one building called Beatico Angelico. And that's kind of the art building of the whole campus, because obviously you have the architecture people, and you have the the fashion designers, the interior designers, and stuff like that on the other side, and the painters and such. So just that environment, I think, was very helpful for my development, even though I'm not doing architectural work anymore. Like, I've transitioned to just being a YouTuber, a degenerate, and stuff like that. I'm just glad that I was able to be in an environment of artists. So I kind of do agree when people say, because I know people want to go to art school, but they worry about the pricing and stuff like that, and it does suck. But and I don't think you have to go to art school to be good in art. And I don't think you have to pay just to be in an environment. And I think it's just not practical for most people. But it's also undeniable that if you're surrounded by artists, you're more likely to do art, It's just the energy of the room, of the environment, of the space, and just the non-judgmental. I mean, there's going to be some judgments, there's going to be some competition, but it's a kind of competition that you would expect from an artistic environment. Like, you want to one up the next artist with like new techniques, more work, more noticeable work, more popular work. So that's kind of okay, but to me that's fine. It's just like, you get something from being in an environment of or being in that sort of creative space. Yeah. Like, you don't have to, like, by the way, you don't have to go to school to do this. For me, the way I do this now is I expose myself or find artists who I like. That's why I have the art reviews here on my channel, because I'm always finding art that I enjoy and I just talk about it. And just being in that framework, in that mindset, it helps me keep making more art. Like, I never feel like I'm demotivated. Maybe here and there I'll have like moments of like meh, or I'll have days. People have bad days, right? People have bad days, but for the most part, I'm good. And the reason why is because I've made or seeked out, created an environment myself where I can just explore and be in this sort of art realm. So if you don't have that opportunity to be in that artistic creative space, seek it out yourself or make one your own. You can do this, especially on the internet and with social media. It's so easy to do this. It does take some time to build things, to build communities, to build connections, but I think it's worth it. And your audience, the people you meet, is going to be much, much bigger, much, much wider. Yeah. So I guess the best way for us people nowadays is to just find we need to find our digital, artistic, or creative space online, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you feel like you fit in, right? For me, it's gonna be YouTube mainly. So yeah. So hopefully you learned something from this episode. It's kind of a ramble session. I do like, by the way, I do like the way I'm doing these videos where it's just me, talking about what I have drawn, have painted, have done, and just rambling as I go, and just sharing some experiences, advice, some thoughts that I have. It's much easier to do, and it's much more fulfilling to do. So you don't have to be like those other YouTube channels where people talk about like advice or like tips and tricks. I mean, they're valuable, but if you're not someone who has a lot of advice or tips to give, if you're kind of a student, if you feel like you're more of a learner, or you're just not into doing those kinds of videos and you just feel like rambling or talking, then just do what I do and ramble, right? Give some valuable advice here and there, but don't be afraid to like share your opinions. Well, maybe a little bit, who knows? But anyway, the point is just be out there, put your art out there, and create your own artistic space, communities, and opportunities. We have the internet now. We have we have social media. We have so many tools at our disposal. So I don't think we should be stuck in we don't have an excuse to be stuck. So yeah, hopefully this helps in some way. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.